Hey guys, thank you for listening to this episode of the Green Up Academy podcast. I'm excited to announce our first event that we're going to be doing while all of you guys are at Equip Expo through the Green Up Academy called the Green Up Gathering. It's going to be on October 16th, which is Wednesday night while you're at Equip Expo. It's going to be at 6:30 to 10:30 p.m. at Main Event in Louisville, Kentucky. If you've never been to Main Event, think of it like Dave & Buster's on steroids. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to have amazing barbecue and food. We're going to have a keynote speech from me. We're going to be talking about your business moving forward in 2025 and things you can expect through us at the Green Up Academy. We're also going to be having unlimited games, unlimited arcade time, bowling, and just getting to hang out with all the people who you've met through the Green Up Academy, through the lawn and landscape industry in one place in a small setting. So it's only $60, guys. It's an amazing value. We're going to have giveaways from Ballard Products, Yeti, and much, much more. So we want you to come, and we're going to be announcing and launching this on August 12th, which is Monday night at 5 p.m. It's going to go live. And like I said, these 40 spots, we feel very confident they're going to fill fast. So make sure you do that. We're going to announce it on our Instagram, our Facebook, and through an email, and of course through our website at thegreenupacademy.com. So you guys make sure you're there. We're really excited. I can't wait to see you and meet you guys in person, those who I've talked to online for many, many years and a lot of time. So looking forward to it. Make sure you come to our Green Up Gathering.
Welcome to the Green Up Academy podcast with Alex Kirby, where we focus on helping you level up your green industry business. Whether it's marketing, finance, employees, or strategy, we talk about everything on this show to help you apply it to your business and change your family and company's future for decades to come. Here's your host, Alex Kirby.
What is up, guys? Alex here with the Green Up podcast, where we help you guys level up your green industry business. And I'm introducing, before we start, the guests of today's episode, who I really, really enjoyed, Adam Jones of Warren Lawncare in Des Moines, Iowa. That's right, up there near Mr. Corey Ballard's area. I have been to Ankeny, Iowa, and it's in Des Moines, and it's a pretty cool place. So Adam, I really enjoyed this interview. He's a young guy. He's also a Christian guy, and you guys know as me as a faith-based person, I could not enjoy more talking to people who have like-minded things there. But he's got a really cool story, very similar to mine, of where he came from and where he's at now, and his company's grown really, really strong, really, really fast the last 24 months. And he's a FERT guy, so you guys are going to enjoy him talking about lawn care treatments, aerations. Just really good stuff, guys. So y'all buckle up. We're ready for my interview here with Adam Jones of Warren Lawncare. All right, Mr. Adam Jones. So tell me about Des Moines, because from what I know about Des Moines, Iowa, there's a lot of snow in the wintertime. And if you're a disc golf fan, the number one player in the world is 18-year-old Gannon Burr from Des Moines, Iowa. So that's all I know. Fill me in on anything else. Did you know that? Number one, did you know that you have the number one disc golfer in the world in Des Moines?
No, I didn't know that. I don't know a thing about disc golf, but so the town I'm from, Jason Momoa grew up in high school there. So that's our claim to fame.
Oh, cool.
He's from Norwalk, which is the town where I'm from. So, but anyway, as far as Des Moines goes, Iowa's right there in the center of the Midwest, so we really honestly get the extremes of every single season. So we get the extreme cold in the winter, in the dead part of February. We get the most humid parts of the summer here in July and August. And then everything in between. So it just varies as far as weather goes. Des Moines is probably, I think it's 200 and some thousand proper, and then if you wrap in the whole metro, it's probably 450,000. Could be approaching 5 at some point, something like that, as far as population goes. So,
I couldn't believe when I was there seeing Corey Ballard a few years ago. One, how much land cost. Like, I just could not. It made me sick to my stomach how much an acre of land cost, and two, how flat it was. Just like flat. Just those are the big things that jumped out at me.
Go north of Des Moines, everything gets flat. Up anywhere north Iowa, it's all flat. If you go south of Des Moines, then you'll start getting into hills, and it's actually interesting. There's lots of woods, and it's like the primo deer hunting. If you ever want to hunt whitetail and are lucky enough to draw a tag, I was the place to do it. So
draw a tag. Dang. You have certain amounts you can get.
Yeah, so Iowa does a draw system where you have to put your name in basically every year, and then after like 3 or 4 years, you rack up enough points where they'll give you a buck tag if you're an out-of-stater, because it's a pretty coveted tag because Iowa is known for its big whitetails. So if you don't live in the state, you can't just cross the border and buy a tag at Walmart and go hunt deer. So,
wow, I didn't know that. We have 10 deer that live on our property, so I never have to think about can you or can't you. So let's start into it, Sir Adam Jones. Thank you for coming on today, man. So tell me about your company, man, and tell me about what you guys do, a little bit of your story, why you got started doing what you're doing, and tell me about your family.
Yeah, so I'm married. We got married in 2018, and we just have a couple dogs, no kids yet. So originally, I did not start in lawn care as a kid or anything like that. A lot of guys do that, and they just stick with it through high school, and then they have a great launching pad from there. I actually went to college for ministry, and I got a degree in Christian ministry with an emphasis in music. So half of my classes were all geared towards pastoral stuff. The other half were all geared towards music, piano, guitar, stuff like that. So I graduated from college and then went into full-time ministry, and I did that for like 4 years, I think, right around there, before I finally stepped down from that. Nothing wrong with I wasn't quitting for any negative reasons. I just found myself wanting to make more of an impact, wanting to be outdoors and wanting to do my own thing. So there was just a lot of those things kind of combined into one is what kind of drew me to look into starting something else. So anyways, so in about 2019, that's when I started exploring, like, maybe I should start something on the side. If nothing else, just for extra income, even if I don't, dive off into it full time. So I started mowing a couple yards just as side things. I was just helping out a couple old ladies from the church. It wasn't anything like, hey, I'm making a business out of this. It was just something that I was more helping them than anything, and they gave me a few bucks. It wasn't anything crazy. But then I started running numbers in my head, like a lot of guys do when they go out and do something on their own. Like, hey, if I did this many in a day and charge this, I'll make all this money, And so then I started seriously looking into it, and that was the fall of 2019. And I reached out to a guy here in Ankeny. You might have heard of him, Sam Rankin with Etch Outdoor. He's pretty good buddies with Corey Ballard as well. So Sam and I are pretty good friends. Company. Yeah. Sam's legit. I just went up and saw his new shop here like a week or two ago. But anyways, so I just I saw Sam on Mike Andy's YouTube channel. Mike Andy's came out and did a little whatever episode with Sam. And I was like, dude, this guy's from Ankeny. I should reach out to him. So that's how I got connected with Sam. Called him up and I said, hey, would you mind meeting me for coffee? Just something real simple. I'm looking at getting into the industry, and I just want your thoughts. You've been in it for 3 or 4 years. Just curious what you might do if you were starting out from ground zero. So him and I met, and he said, if I was starting with my first service, I'd probably at least look into the treatments side of thing. And my personality is when I decide to just go in on something, I just go all in, and I'll just, I'll take action, basically, is what I'm saying. So after he said that, we left that meeting. I spent the whole winter learning all about lawn care, fertilization, weed control, pest control. Do I need to get my certifications? What does it take to start the LLC? I just went down the rabbit hole like crazy. YouTube videos, podcasts, all that junk. And then the spring of 2020, once everything got warmed up, I had my logo, and I already had a pickup truck, and I got the bare bones set up for what I needed to do just to complete treatments, which was literally a push spreader and a backpack sprayer, and a tank for water. And that's pretty much all I had. But I was like, hey, I'm just going to go for it. So started the business, did everything legally, correctly, got my certifications, And then that spring got my very first client. And I got out to their yard, filled up the hopper there and went to start it. And I stood there and it just hit me. I have never fertilized a yard in my entire life. And here I now have this business and this new client. And this new client probably thinks, oh, look at this. Yeah, this young guy's got a business. And they even asked me, they're like, yeah, so is business ramping up now, getting pretty busy for you again? And I was like, oh, yeah, definitely. Yep, it's getting busy. And they were my first clients.
This is the kickoff.
A lot of guys who are – yeah. A lot of guys pretend to be big when they're really not, and I probably faked it a little bit at the beginning too, just to be professional, I guess, in the name of being professional. So, but yeah, I was like, oh, I've never spread fertilizer in my life, and here I am having a business treating a client's lawn for the first time ever, and I've never even done it. So, all that to be said, that's kind of how I started it.
That's crazy. So, were you still? When did you quit the church, and like where in that did you quit? Did you have no income until or were you doing both at the same time?
Yep, did both at the same time. So I did the business on the side for the first 2 years part-time, and I was still full-time at the church. And then, as clients came in, I just would do the work on the weekends, and then it got to the point where I couldn't just do treatments on the weekends anymore because I had too many clients. So then I started doing it in the evenings after work at the church. And then it got to a point where I was like, oh, I can't do both anymore, which is what I wanted to do. It's the old Dave Ramsey adage of, getting the boat close to the docks before you just jump off. So while it was, bold of me to start a business that way, even though I'd never done any of the work, I did kind of ease into it financially, I guess you could say, in that aspect. Yeah.
Smart. Very smart. So I don't know if you know, but you do listen to the show, but couldn't be more of a Dave Ramsey fan. And I have the exact same background I have a church leadership degree, did ministry 2 years full time. So I didn't know we had eerily similar stories, eerily similar. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so you went full time, and it sounds like 2022. Is that right?
Yep, that would probably be right. Mm-hmm.
All right. So what's it been like since 2022? Do you have employees? Has it been a whirlwind? How's revenue? All that.
Yeah. So full time 2022. So basically, the past 2 years, it was just me doing everything, from the work to the invoices to estimates and phone calls and marketing. I haven't farmed anything out except for accounting and bookkeeping. I quickly hired a lady for that because I'm terrible at numbers. I got all C's and D's in math growing up in high school and college. So I'm very, whether it's left brain or right brain, I don't remember which one it is. I'm the one that doesn't have any of the number side, but's very creative, and I love graphics and I love color and I love music and all that stuff, but I'm terrible at science and math. So I quickly handed that off to a lady, and also because I didn't want to screw it up when it comes to taxes and tracking invoices and receipts and all that stuff. I just was like, hey, I'm going to do this right from the start. So I hired a lady pretty quickly for that. So I just pay her hourly for the work she does, she's essentially like a contractor for companies for that. Yeah. So she's been very helpful. But yeah, so I did all the work, done all the treatments for basically the past 2 years. Last year, I hired my first employee towards the end of the season. And knowing that I could train him up a little bit before the season cut off in winter, and then he could kind of hit the ground running here this spring. So I had him up to about May, and he moved out of town. He was a good employee, no troubles with him or anything. He was a really nice kid. He just moved out of town for personal reasons. So I replaced him with somebody, got that guy trained up. So he's a full-time technician now. And then shortly after I hired him, I hired another guy. So I have 2 full-time techs now. And that's not to say that I have 2 full-time routes full of work for them. I hired the second guy ahead of time so that way we could really launch into 2025, do a lot of marketing, and pack that second route full of new clients. So that way next year we got 2 full-time routes. I mean, and as you know, you get to a point where even though I don't have enough work for 2 full-time guys, I can't handle everything on my own. I can't be in the field doing treatments, 20 to 25 treatments every day and do everything else that needs done. Equipment breaks down. People need their lawn looked at, and you get phone calls and emails, and eventually you have to cut it off and start taking care of the office and side of things and everything else that has to get done. So that's kind of, I'm in that weird transition where I have one leg in the field and one leg in the office.
Yep. I was going to say, I just recorded an episode this morning talking about the 410s model. This what I like to tell people to run, because the only way you can have any type of semblance of balance or growth is by giving yourself Friday to not be in the field. And a lot of other reasons. But yeah, you're totally right. You're at that crossroads of revenue where you're like, well, if we want to scale, I've got to work on the business. But if we want to be profitable right this second, I've got to be in the field. But you have to find kind of a mix of two so you can go to that next level. So Adam, why is it called Warren? Why is tell me your company name. Why did you choose that?
Yeah, sometimes people think that's my last name, but it's just the county that I used to live in and started the business in. And originally, my first original thought was, hey, let's just dominate Warren County and just like be known as the treatment company in Warren County. But we quickly grew outside of Warren County, and now we're in other counties up around Des Moines. So the name still applies, and it's, honestly, if I were to go back and start over, I probably would give it a different name just because Warren is hard for people to understand over the phone. So it's hard to pronounce clearly. Yeah. So I don't know. That's the only thing. I probably would have changed it a little bit, but it works out and it still applies. So.
Okay. I was just wondering because I definitely thought your last name was Adam Warren. I thought your name was Adam Warren for sure.
Yeah. No, I've met a lot of people who think that. So.
Yeah, that's funny. So, okay. That's awesome. So you mentioned marketing. That's going to be a huge emphasis for you. What does marketing plan look like right now? What does the future one in your head look like? You doing it all in house?
Yeah, ever since
tell me about it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, ever since the beginning, I've tried a little bit of everything. I pounded the pavement like crazy the first 2 or 3 years, essentially. Passed out postcards door to door by hand. Did thousands of those. And those work pretty well. You get a decent return, 1% to 2%, is pretty normal for that kind of stuff, 3% on a good day. So that kind of thing does work. But everything kind of works too, to be honest with you. You just have to find what works best. And when you find it, you just kind of want to double down on it. And so, yeah, I've done print, I've done online, Facebook, Google, Instagram, you name it, put ads. I've went into the rabbit holes of creating ads and focusing them on certain targeted areas based on who the people are and all that kind of stuff. I've advertised on our local magazines, like they slap a sticker on the front. We have a client referral program that we do where people get bonused if somebody that they know signs up and they referred them. But ultimately, I guess you could boil all of it down to, I think the most effective and the best two ways to get leads that are actually like ready to buy and are good quality leads is Google and a good referral program. I've just noticed that I've done a lot of marketing through, let's call it pursuing leads, where you put an ad out there on Facebook or you walk up to somebody's door and knock on the door. Anytime I've found that we're pursuing leads, you can get leads that way and you can get people that are interested, but they're never the high quality leads that are like that really want the service. You're just catching them and hoping that they come in versus when people come and find us through Google. Yeah, it's a cold lead. Yeah, the warm leads come to us. So now I try to always focus on like, let's pump all my efforts into our Google My Business. Almost have 160 5-star reviews on Google, getting close to that. But so Google is the best, and then a good referral program, because everybody, I mean, if a person gets referred by their brother or their neighbor, I mean, those people are almost guaranteed to sign up just because they trust the person that signed up, and they're like, hey, yeah, this company is great, we love them, blah blah blah, and then they sign up. So I know pest control companies love the door-to-door sales, and I see them all the time out on their little scooters and knocking on doors like crazy. But those leads, you have a higher attrition rate with those kind of leads that come in cold that you're trying to force into your company. They may stick around for that season, but you really got to impress them and do a really good job for them to stick around, because a lot of times you're catching them off guard, and sometimes they sign up out of just haste or guilt or whatever the case may be. So I just like the quality of clients that we get from anytime somebody pursues our company, whether it be Google or referral or phone call, whatever.
I do not disagree with one thing you're saying at all. The one interesting one that I think is going to become more and more prevalent, if it's not already, and I think this is the one that's going to be that is more of a challenge for service-based businesses, is how can you figure out how to make content storytelling a winner for your company. So I think producer Mac and I were talking about this maybe several months ago, but I can't get it out of my head. And there was a commercial that Amazon did around Christmas time last year. And it was a quick commercial, and it was basically, it's the story. We talked about this, right, Matt? It was a guy who he was watching basically like a cooking, something about like cooking, and he had gotten really interested in cooking or some reason he was interested in it. And Amazon kept showing him like getting more things to learn how to cook in his own house, right? And he got like super invested into the cooking space. And then he's walking on the street at the very end of the commercial, and he sees now hiring chef, right? And so he goes, and then it's like this culmination. And so I think if companies like Pest Control, like these boring businesses, as people call them, can figure out how to tell stories to their customers on social media, whether it be like, you know, you Miss Patsy's husband just died, and you got to do, you know, some treatments for her free of charge because it used to be her husband's favorite thing, and the lawn got overgrown, and you were able to serve her. If you're able to tell those content stories, that's what we are calling it. I don't know what everyone else calls it, but I think companies struggle really hard in the content space because it's like, we do a lot of marketing with our backbone company, and you know, yes, the budgets are low enough to where like we can give you a good presence, but I wish we were able to convince. I'm hoping to try to convince other companies that like, hey, content storytelling is the key. I don't know if you've thought about that. I'd love to hear your opinion on how to tell. Like, how's your social media presence? Do you post? Right? Are you the one posting?
Yeah. Looks like you're going to look it up, so go ahead.
Yeah,
we have Instagram and Facebook, so feel free to. It's just Warren Lawn. I try to combine. I agree with you. The storytelling is good. You need to capture people in some way. Storytelling does that, and also I try to be informative and a little bit entertaining at the same time. So I'm just always thinking of creating content that is prevalent to the time of the season that we're in. So, you know, if it's super humid out, we've had a lot of moisture in this area. At night, there's fungus that's starting all over the place in people's lawns. So I'll quickly put up a video all about fungus. Hey, here's what it looks like. Here's how to diagnose it. And here's the stuff you can use to go treat it yourself. And if you don't want to, give us a call. We'll do it for you. So I don't know. I think you're right. It's good to do. It's good to do that. And I try to combine the informative with a little bit of entertainment. I found that
I do too. I like
people
that.
take themselves too serious. And last year, I haven't done it as much this year just because I've been so busy, but I want to keep doing it more. Last year, I kind of did a bunch of, you could call it quicker cuts, and tried to add a little bit of comedy into some of my videos. And I got a lot of comments on that. A lot of people were like, "Oh, I love watching every time you post a video. It's so, you know, it's funny, and I like watching them because you're always talking about something I didn't know." So people are on social media to be entertained. Like, think about anytime you pull up Reels, it's because you either want to learn something or be entertained. And so, honestly, there's a lot of businesses just posting boring stuff. Like. Yeah. And I hate to say, and that's not to be like down on anybody. I'm sure we've posted a bunch of boring stuff that nobody cares about, but you got to remember that people care about themselves and their life and their problems. And so you have to figure out how to enter your business into their life and their problems and relate to them, because they don't, I mean, I guess to put it harshly, they don't give a crap about your business. And posting pictures and videos of your trucks and all that stuff. It's cool to us. We're in it every day. And so we really care about all that stuff. And you can still post that stuff. There's nothing wrong with it. Post about your team members and all the positive things. That's all good. But you need to be thinking what's going through your client's brain all the time and relate to them and their life and their story and the problems. What service are you offering? Okay, what problems are they dealing with that relate to the service you're offering? And then connect the two. And like I said, if you can add in a touch of entertainment, that's going to be better because you're going to hold people. Because most people are not going onto social media to learn something. They're going on there because they want to shut their brain off and watch a video that's funny most of the time.
I totally agree with you. The third one I would add to entertain and educate is opinion. People love to feel like their voice can be heard. So if you look at like controversial posts, that's why they go viral, because everyone has an opinion on the matter and they want their voice to be heard. So I think those three are the exact reasons why people, I couldn't agree more with you on that. And that's something I'm trying to discuss with our marketing team for our clients is how do you do that in the parameters we have for our clients and their budgets and stuff. But the one question I had, I saw your really cool W little signs you put in yards you service. Why is the website or phone number not on the front underneath on the bottom?
Good question. So it's all on the back side of the sign. And I've had a couple people ask that actually. I just want that W to stick out. If I don't know if you can see any pictures on our social media or anything, but that W is huge on our vans. It's really like gigantic. It's really and so a lot of people know us just from that. Like we get a lot of comments of like, dude, I see all your lawns everywhere. Those purple W signs are everywhere. So it's just a symbol. It's like the McDonald's M or any other symbol that you see, and you know what business it is that goes with that symbol. And so, that's not a short-term game plan. That's a long-term thing. Cause some people look at it and they're like, what the heck is that purple W in the grass? But if you were to look at the back side, all of our info is on the back. Yeah. But it's just a personal choice I've chosen to do.
My only thought to that is if someone's walking their dog in the neighborhood, they're going to take a picture and they're like, dang, that lawn looks good. They're going to take a picture of the front. So if you just had, I'm talking about micro-sized, just your website or your phone number. But maybe you put a QR code instead. That might be cool.
That is a good idea. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I probably should put something on the front just for those kind of people that are walking by. That would be a good idea.
Or, that's what I do when I'm driving. We don't live in the neighborhood. We live in the country for real. But when we're driving through like Christmas lights and stuff in the winter, because Christmas lights in South Carolina, as you can imagine, in the Bible Belt is like ridiculously popular. So we'll drive through neighborhoods and literally, Mac, I don't know if you know, producer Mac, no, there's a neighborhood right up the street from us when you get off the exit, those two neighborhoods across the street from each other. We literally will ride through those weekly in Christmas light season. And I'll just take a picture of the house. So if you had if I could stop and just take a snap, man, that lawn looks fire. And there's a little sign. Do you do anything for your customers to let you put the W in the yard? How do you convince them? Do you do a giveaway every month where you give away a $50 Chick-fil-A gift card or something? If they let you put, if they allow you to put a sign in?
No, that is just the automatic sign that we put in the lawn after every treatment. I just made it huge because I want people to see it. So we made them out of Coroplast, so they're 100% plastic, so the rain will never degrade them, and they're put on a little tiny mini H stake, like what you would have on a normal yard sign, but it's just miniature, so it stakes into the ground really well. And then when a client signs up with us, they get an automated email that's got some FAQs and helpful information, and one of the things on that email says, if you can and you remember to, please hang on to the W sign that we give you. And when you get your notifications that we're coming out, just set the sign out somewhere in the front so we'll see it and we'll reuse it. And then that kind of just helps us on the cost side of things so we don't have to buy as many over and over and over. But no, it's just it's in Iowa, you have to, and I know it's like this in most states, you have to put out a sign that notifies that says like 24 hours off the lawn or whatever on the back. So it's just a legal thing you have to do. I've just really customized it and made it really big and purple and that kind of thing. So just so it sticks out.
Well, I was just thinking like to incentivize your customers not to take it down until your next application. You could say, hey, if you leave your sign out, if you leave your sign out for marketing purposes, each month you'll be entered into or like if we come by the next application, if we come and we see your sign was still in, which means hopefully, they didn't put it out that morning or something crazy, but you'll be entered into like a drawing for like a $50 gift card. Yeah. Something to think about. That's cool. I don't get to talk to a lot of guys I would say marketing and sales is probably like the weaknesses of a lot of lawn care companies because they're so focused on working in the business, right? Like it's never quality that I ever hear a complaint on from guys where I'm like, oh man, our quality is just not very good. Or like, we're just not getting a lot of work done. It's always like, I don't have time to do bids or quotes, or I don't know how to market and I don't want to spend the money. And, since you listen, like I tell people like, man, just earmark 3 to 5% at least as your marketing budget and know that money needs to be spent so you can you're going to get a return. So I enjoy asking people like you who have a marketing plan. It's really fun. So what's your ad spend a month? Like $1,000, $1,500 a month on Google Ads?
Yeah, I'm kind of a little bit on the higher side where I'll typically allocate 10% of revenue towards marketing. But yeah, right now I'm running anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month on Google for the LSA ads that pop up at the top that, it gives you a little check mark or whatever. And then when we get to the obvious, fall rush and spring rush, then everything gets upped, and we'll start competing on the words and stuff like that. So
very cool. I'd love to talk offline about I love talking marketing. So anything that we could talk about for, marketing plans for that, I would love to chat about that. All right. Let me ask you this, Mr. Adam. What, cause things are going well, right? You've got a healthy business, you're growing and you're at that plateau. What is the thing that keeps you in it? Like, how do you stay motivated? What's your long-term goals? Like give me a little vision casting here.
Yeah. Well, everything. So I kind of dwindle everything down to my motivation being faith, family, future. So first, my foundation is I'm doing a good job. I'm growing this business because God has blessed me with it. And so, I don't see it as my business, which I know may sound kooky to some people or whatever, but to me, I see it as it's God's business because he's just letting me use it. And I look for opportunities to serve people with it. So that's kind of the foundation there. And then obviously next is I'm growing a business for me and my family. Like I'm not growing it for my employees. And I know that may sound selfish and I want good team members and I care about them and I reward them really well. But I'm doing it so my family can be financially free. That's a big motivator for me as well. So, faith, family, and future obviously kind of plays into that too. So that would be probably my, motivator, I guess you could say. And then as far as like what it looks like in the future and what I'm kind of striving towards, when I very first started the business, I wasn't as sure because I was so fresh and new into it. I didn't really know, like, where am I going to take this? Do I want it to be big? Do I want it to be small and just be like me and a guy? I was very unsure, but I quickly, within the first year, latched on to the idea that I wanted to grow it big and have it be a legitimate business that can operate on itself. And so I really view this business as I'm building a machine that can operate on its own when it gets flipped on and can produce money without me having to tinker on it nonstop. And so these first 4 years has just been trial and error in every aspect of the business. Like what equipment works best for us? What products should we be using? How does the scheduling work? And so I've just been trialing and erroring everything. And then when I find the thing that works, I put it into place and that's the standard from there on. So I'm trying to systemize everything, make it as simple as possible. And as stress-free as possible too. So that way it's easier to scale and easier to turn into something that doesn't need me every day. And so the long-term goal is, I hope, I'm 30 right now, and I hope by the time I'm 40 that this will be a nice, good size quality company where it has a manager in place, and I am, let's call it, completely hands off, or I at least have the freedom of my time and finances to kind of do what I want and still let it operate. My hope is to get there before 40, but
yeah,
who knows? That's a long time from now. A lot can happen in 10 years. A lot can happen in 3 years. So,
well, that means, yeah, you move into the owner's role rather than the owner operator or director of operations stuff. Dude, I'm looking at your trucks, bro, your vans. So are these mean green units? What are these units you're using?
Are you talking about like our fertilizer equipments or like the actual van?
Yeah, these the ride-on unit.
Yeah, so that's a company out of Minnesota called Turfco. Whoa, I just gave you a thumbs up on the podcast there. That was weird.
That's okay.
Anyways, yeah, so that's a company out of Minnesota. I think they're right in Minneapolis there. But so they're, that's like 4 hours from us. And it's a good quality fertilizer machine. It handles hills really great. It's not a zero turn. It has a steering wheel, which a lot of people look at and think it looks really goofy, but it is 10 times better than any zero turn machine there is, because it steers the front tires, and it's amazing. Now, I hate the machine as much as I love it, and I'm sure there's pros and cons to everything. But I've been with the machines long enough now to where I've seen everything on it break and go wrong, and I've had to figure out how to fix it. So it's kind of one of those things where we're going to stick with it because we know how they work now, and they serve the job well. So,
and you've got the Sprinter vans, so you've got ramps that are they handheld ramps that you put on, like metal ones, or does like something flip down?
Yeah, they fold up into the van like this. You shut the doors, and then when you open the doors, they fold down like that. And then it keeps everything enclosed in the van. So I went completely away from pickup trucks because everything's in open air and it can get rained on. And if fertilizer bags get rained on, it'll get moist and it'll bog down the machines. And you wouldn't think it would because you think those fertilizer bags are sealed up, but they're not sealed up perfectly, and this stuff gets wet. So we're able to keep everything the guys need for their route every day, can pretty much stay in the van and locked up. And that saves us on shop space too. And it's just, I like everything closed up. You don't see any of the mess or the clutter of the equipment. And when we're driving down the road, it's just a giant billboard and it's clean. So
I think it looks amazing, dude. And like at Trifecta, we had box trucks that we were converting to. I totally agree with the premise. You and I see eye to eye a ton, man. And I'm really, I haven't got to talk to you before this. I'm super impressed with what you're doing. And I really have enjoyed talking to you today. I think you brought a lot of value to people. And I think, it sounds like you're on your way to that revenue goal of, $500,000, close to that this year. And I don't see why you're not going to grow. Adam, let me ask you one more question before we wrap up, man, is what's been the hardest thing this year for you? What's been the thing you failed at the most that you can encourage people with just your transparency?
Oh, yeah. Well, first off, every single business owner struggles with all kinds of stuff. So, we all make it look good on Instagram and Facebook, and our, vehicles look pretty and our videos look nice and blah, blah, blah. But there are daily, little fires you have to put out all the time and things that go wrong. And I've made every mistake in the book up to this point. It feels like so. But I think the biggest thing is you have to just learn from your mistakes and then do your best to not make that mistake in the future. And if you can do that, then you're going to succeed. And so as this season, the biggest thing I needed to pin down and learn, my biggest obstacles was learning pay for performance and getting that down really well. And I just now have that down to where I feel like it's going to work for the future. So I got the guys on P for P, and it seems to be working well. And then honestly, just trying to get out of the van and get out of the field, and also ensure the quality is there too. You know, your guys don't care about your company like you do. And so I'm really working on trying to instill that aspect of the business into them to do a really good quality job, to limit damage cases and limit problems, and I'm really trying to get them to own as much of it as they possibly can, to duplicate myself out in the field as much as possible. It's hard to do. But you know, Dan Martell wrote the book, Buy Back Your Time. And I think his little saying is 80% is his 100%. You know, if he can get an employee doing 80% of as good as he is, he's happy with that. And that allows you to scale the business. So, I mean, no employees are ever going to be maybe quite as good as you or as fast as you or care as much as you. But man, I think if you can get them to 80 or 85%, then you're probably on the right track. And so I've just been really trying to work on that. Yeah. It can be hard. And there's, like I said, a lot of businesses look good on the outside, but trust me, we have our struggles. Even just this week, we've had a lot of bad things go wrong. So
I'm into that, bro. This has been awesome, guy. I loved it, Adam. Thank you so much for giving us your time, brother. And guys, if you want to follow and connect with Adam Jones from Warren Lawncare, make sure you hit him up. Facebook, Instagram, Warren Lawncare. I found it very easily on Facebook. And Adam, thank you, man. Really, really appreciate it. And guys, this has been the Green Up Academy podcast, where we come and we talk to you with guests like Adam on how to level up your green industry business. Adam has been more than forthcoming with his information today. Great advice. And this discussion was great, Adam. Thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next time.